Hi, it's me, Inga, and Big Mama from the Bohemian Buddhist, and we wanted to say hello to you. Actually, I did. Big Mama just wanted to come in here and snuggle with me, and that's okay. Well, it has been quite a while since I posted anything on my blog, and instead of writing about the adventure, I decided to do something different and share the story on live. So anyway, the last time I posted something on my blog was when hubby and I were in Southern California, living on a soon-to-be dog sanctuary, and we were living in a 38-foot motorhome with 4 dogs and 4 cats, and all the crazy things that went on and how I was dealing with it, especially because I was very stressed out. There was some issues that actually got a little worse since I last wrote about it. So I wanted to kind of give you an update on that. Anyway, gosh, at that time, I think we were there about 2 weeks. And a week later, things really hit the fan. And the woman that owns the property turned out to be a total psycho. And it ended up that she wanted, she just was very bossy. She was very mean. And even though I was trying to look at things differently from a Buddhist perspective, try to be peaceful, try to be calm, that ego side of me finally had enough, and I told her I wasn't going to be bossed around by her anymore, especially verbally abused, which I think if you practice any kind of spirituality or religion, or even if you don't practice anything, you can't let yourself be verbally abused or physically abused by anyone for any reason. So I finally had enough, and it ended up that the sheriff had to be called, which I called the sheriff because she wanted to get inside the motorhome, and I knew once she was inside the motorhome, it could have gotten physical quickly, and not just for my safety, but for Big Mama here and the 4 kitties and the 4 doggies. So anyway, the sheriff was called, and in Southern California, out in the boondocks, which is where we were, it took them 2 hours to come out. I don't know if they were walking, riding a horse, riding a bicycle, or what. But they finally showed up, and the following day, hubby and I moved out. We found another place to stay up in the foothills of Riverside, and it happened to be a dog sanctuary, an animal sanctuary, really. There were some horses and some pigs and some goats and I think like 20 dogs. It was awesome. Just loved it. The only issue we had was we were then living in a 24-foot trailer with 4 dogs and 4 cats. So we basically had no room at all. And this trailer had a lot of problems. But we stayed with a woman who is so awesome and wonderful and giving, someone that we met on Craigslist. And she opened her doors to us and helped us. And it was, even though we were super cramped, and I learned a lot about living off grid again and making the most of a crazy situation. Just knowing that was another human being out there was so opposite than the psycho from the first dog sanctuary that is still not up and running. That's like 3 months later, which I don't think is ever going to happen. But anyway, she was really wonderful woman. Hubby and I stayed there about 2 weeks, and we decided that we had to move because the work situation. Hubby had a job at a dog kennel, and the dog kennel was like an hour and a half away, and the commute was horrendous. And he was only working like I think 16 hours a week, and so we ended up realizing that we were digging ourselves deeper. Kind of a quick backstory. The reason we moved in the first place to Southern California to be caretakers of a dog sanctuary was because it was an opportunity to live somewhere free rent and have a chance to pay off our debt, which is really high because of it's credit card debt, but it's all from medical expenses from 2010, 2011, 2012. Back then, I was sick with the C word, and many doctors, well, not many, some doctors wouldn't see me unless I paid up front. And so I ended up having to put all that stuff on credit cards, which that's a whole other story, which is crazy. But anyway, so here we are at 2020, still have a lot of debt, but things are looking up. So anyway, we moved from Southern California, which I was really bummed out about. I was really bummed leaving the dog sanctuary because the whole vibe there was so awesome. Just being around all those animals, and then the area is right outside Joshua Tree National Forest, so it's really beautiful. It's just beautiful, and I don't know, I really liked it. So anyway, now we're in Central California, and we're staying with my son, who is very awesome to let us stay with him, and we are just getting back on our feet. And so lots of lessons to be learned, lots of things to do. Hobby, of course, was out of work when he left Southern California. He had to quit his job. So it took 2 months to get a job. And it's part-time. I guess the thing nowadays is everybody gets to work part-time. And of course, nobody can live on that. So people have to have a second job. So for right now, we've got the part-time gig going on, and we're figuring things out. I'm thinking about starting a little store where I can sell merchandise. Not sure what yet, but centered around my doggies and kitties because we still have bills to pay, and maybe some mugs and stickers and things like that with a spiritual message or a funny little message from doggies and kitties. And I'm still in the brainstorming stage, but anyway, life is much better than it was. We don't have anybody screaming and yelling at us anymore. No one's trying to beat me up, which is always a plus. And I am wanting to get back into writing, but I think because of all the craziness that went on, I just didn't feel like really writing. I haven't really been reading. I have been keeping up on some of my groups on social media, though, which is helpful. But anyway, life is better than it was, and lessons to be learned, which is number one, people will always give you hints of red flags, and you got to pay attention to those red flags, because this woman gave us some red flags, but we were so desperate to move because where we were living up in the foothills, the Sierra foothills, we couldn't do another winter there because PG&E has this thing of turning off the electricity. Then that means there's no heat in the house. Last year at this time, I caught pneumonia because inside of my house was 39 degrees. So we knew we could not stay there anymore. So when this person approached us and said, "Oh, I have this dog sanctuary I want to start, and blah, 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 it's going to be great, and all this stuff." But then there were things that she brought up that I didn't want to pay attention to because I was so desperate to leave. But I knew as soon as we arrived on the property that we had made a mistake. I just had this feeling of like, because I could see the double wide motorhome was not set up yet. There was nothing wrong with the 38-foot motorhome. I've discovered that we can live in that nicely. That was actually very nice, as long as we have a running toilet, water, a refrigerator that works, things like that that we spoiled Americans just depend on every day. um, but anyway, uh, so that's a lesson that I want to pass on to you. If you have any kind of red flag that someone is, you get a feeling off of someone that's not right, definitely listen to it. That's your gut feeling to say, don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to get yourself in trouble. And so I'm learning to do that now. But anyway, that's about it. Things are good. The weather's nice. We got food to eat, we got a place to sleep, got a comfortable bed. I'm very happy, and I'm very grateful that my son is willing to let us stay with him. And yeah, that's about it. So I don't know if I'm going to keep doing videos instead of writing, but I thought I would try something different this time. So anyway, have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you next time. Namaste.